I remember attending a BAFTA evening and David Putnam was giving a Q&A session on his new film, The Killing Fields. And one question that he was asked was, how do you know you've got a good script? And his reply was that I read it and I put it in a drawer and leave it in the drawer. Sometimes it's there for 1, 2, possibly 3 years. But if I think I need to read it again, I know I'm getting a good script. And I might put it back in the drawer after reading a second time. That's always stuck with me. A painter, he'll say that his artwork, his painting, is never really finished. You could carry on just working on it forever. But there comes a time where you simply have to stop. That's enough. And step back and leave it for maybe 2 years. And look at it again in a different perspective, in a different light. And then you know that it's finished. With my book, I wrote that maybe 2 years ago. It kept coming back to me, and I'd sort of take it out of the drawer and I'd read it again and I'd think, no, this is not bad. But really it's up to the reader to judge the book for its merits, if it's any good or not. So I'll leave that one up to you. It's available on Amazon. You can download it as a Kindle version, or you can get a paperback copy. I'll put the link down below. So any purchases, the proceeds for that go to buying new equipment, travel expenses, and just generally supporting the work of making content on this channel. And I greatly appreciate and I'm grateful for anyone who either buys the book or just heads over to Ko-fi and just either makes a little donation, buy me a coffee. That's great. It all helps. Being in retirement, I'm on a very limited budget, and I can't go over those budgets. So, because I have no job to produce other income with, this is why I've written the book and set up the Ko-fi page. It's a time of change. I was going to show you in this video getting aboard Kiss, my Kelt 8 metre 26 foot sailing yacht for the first time. I don't know what I've bought. It could be sinking for all I know. It's moored out in an estuary, and I bought it on the strength of a survey, and I guess I felt the seller was being honest with his description and the condition of the boat. And certainly the survey, I wouldn't have bought it without a survey, but the survey came back as being a good all-round boat with just 3 or 4 very minor things that needed to be attended to urgently. The tide times this week are not good. And the sailing club, their slipways, they dry out to mud. So the boat is only accessible 2 hours either side of high water. It's a 4-hour journey to get there, and the tide times just don't make sense this week. There seems to be a sort of permanency and security in knowing that the seasons will come around again. Life had become a daily routine of walks in the countryside, reading at home in the warmth, and I started a new morning regime of qigong stretching exercises. I've heard say recently that sitting is the new smoking, and I've certainly done a lot of sitting over the winter this time. Qi is energy, gong means to work with. Working with energy And I feel so much better for stretching the body and keeping myself moving and not just resigning myself to sitting around watching television. Government emergency powers restricted all our movements in the UK, and there was no travel permitted. We weren't allowed to leave home except for once per day. Libraries, gyms, shops, cafes, restaurants, they were all closed under the new COVID laws. In more normal times, I'd be occupied with shooting videos for my friends. David Rahman, good friend of mine, is a motivational speaker. He has a new book out, published this winter, just a couple of months ago. It's called Let It Go. It's a good read. I recommend it to anyone. I'll leave a link in the description down below. It's a good excuse to bring out the professional camera and sound equipment. Making content for this channel just needs a smaller, more lightweight camera, and the 16 megabits per second recording rate of a domestic camcorder is about right for streaming. My professional camera has a 50 megabit per second rate, giving broadcast quality accepted by terrestrial TV channels for transmission. And I've done a few professional jobs, not for a few years now, but I never made any money. Fortunately, I never lost money either. It's been a little while since retiring that I've worked professionally. I don't like working for money, and I never have. And this may sound a little odd to some of you, but what I mean is, I work for the pleasure of work, of creating something from nothing, and feeling a sense of satisfaction and accomplishment from doing that. And if people then pay me something, a fair price for the finished product, I'm happy with that. The only problem with this is replacing broken equipment or upgrading to new standards. It becomes impossible. Hence why I'm shooting this video on a 12-year-old camera. I'm not whining about it. It's just highlighting that when our circumstances change, we too must change. We make changes and we live within our means until we return to more affluent times. The saying, if you can't afford it, you can't have it, is very true. However, this is not a state of permanence. Nature shows us how everything is renewed as we move from one season to another, and we too are in a constant state of change. So here we are, picking up the Valiant 250D tender. Second go, second attempt at getting it back and being able to take it down to the boat. It's the only way I'm ever going to get out to the boat. So it's got to work. Whatever happens, this is coming away with me this evening. Even if I have to saw it in half and then rebond it back together, I don't care. It's coming with me. So we'll put it up on the rack, upside down. The hull's profile will act to give a downforce once we're on the motorway, and the energy of the wind will force the whole hull down onto the rack. But I'm going to strap the dinghy and the rack to the actual roof of the car. I don't want to lose this. I just, I've towed boats before and I've had trailer wheels come past me and disappear off the motorway and somewhere into a field never to be seen again. So I want this to go right. I don't want any accidents today. So that's the initial straps on. That's just to hold the thing in place in case the wind tries to just push it off the rack. But I'm going to use some big lorry straps now just to sort of anchor everything down to the car. And tighten those up. Not too much, not too much. I don't want to put too much pressure on the tubes. Don't want to pop them. So I've had to let the tubes down a little bit, let some of the air out, because the thing's just too big. I thought this was quite a small dinghy, but it's bigger. It's much more substantial than I initially thought it was going to be. That's a good thing. I mean, that just makes it more stable on the water, and the whole fiberglass hull shape is just going to get it up onto the plane. But I've still got to transport this 200 miles, so let's see how that goes. Let's just hope we arrive there with no accidents, it doesn't blow off, doesn't puncture the tubes, and we have a safe trip. I'll see you soon.